Hey, welcome back to From Scratch Ranch. If you're new to this channel, well, you've got a lot of catching up to do because we've accomplished a lot out here on this Barndominium build. We are technically at our last big project to call it done. And I can't wait to get started on this so we can give a tour of the whole thing, complete. I know I'm giving you a little bit of a tour now, it's a little sneak peek, but we'll give you a tour of the whole thing when we are done with this last project, which is the vent hood, exhaust, backsplash tile, all that. That wire up there, finally gonna go away. So stay tuned. So it feels really good to be this close to being done with the Barndominium build, finally. So let me show you what we got today. We've got this backsplash area that we're going to tile with these small stone tiles. But before I tile that, I'm gonna put a piece of wood here to match this piece of wood, which is the actual post, just to frame it up a little bit, make it look nice and clean and give an edge for that tile. Once I get the tile done, then the next video in the series is gonna be all about this hood. This hood is gonna be a custom cedar hood that I'm gonna make, and it's gonna be wood that I harvested out of our forest out here and milled on our brand new Wood-Mizer LX25 sawmill. That's one of the reasons that it's taken us a long time to get to this point and finish this last project, because that sawmill has been on back order forever. And I finally just got it and got it up and running. So look forward to seeing that next video. But first, let's get this tile work done. Okay, this is the tile that we picked for our backsplash. It's actually a River Rock polished pebble mosaic tile. It's on this mesh, this fiberglass mesh. So we'll be able to apply that right to the wall in these sheets that are 12 by 12 and piece it all together. So it's gonna look really, really good. I think this is a nice rustic touch to our rustic Barndominium. So the tile, the mosaic, goes on the wall like so. But before I put it on there, I'm gonna actually have to put in a Durarock backer board. It's like a concrete backer board to mortar this too. And I've got the tile, mosaic tile mortar that I'll use. I think I got the perfect piece of wood that I can use for my faux post here to match this post right here. Something I cut off a log on practicing on my new sawmill. It's just a scrap piece of wood and I think it's gonna work great. So we'll go find that, we'll plane it down, cut it to length and stain and varnish that, and then we'll get that installed. All right, here's the Wood-Mizer LX25 that I used to cut this piece of wood that I'm gonna use for the faux post. This was just a practice piece. I cut a bunch of boards off of some practice logs just to kind of dial this sawmill in and see how it works. So this is a piece of post oak. It's the right thickness, and I just need 32 inches or so. So what I'm going to do is cut this rough edge off and get about 32 inches, then it'll be perfect. Okay, first we'll just cut these ends off using the miter saw. Okay, this is the DeWalt DW735. I just picked this up because I knew I had to plane a lot of this wood that I'm going to be using. So we'll see how this thing works. Oh yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so now we just need to stain this and then varnish it tomorrow. I'm using the Minwax semi-transparent stain, and this is the ebony color. This is what we used throughout the entire interior of the Barndominium for all of our trim. So this is what will match that other post. Now the big difference is our trim was all really low quality pine because I used just a lot of furring strips that was really rough because I wanted that rustic kind of look and everything. And so it's gonna take the stain a little bit different because this post this faux post that I just cut is out of oak. So it's gonna look a lot different. So we'll see, we're gonna test it out on a scrap piece of oak. So I just quickly planed this scrap, the part I cut off, just so it had the same surface. Oh yeah, that goes on really dark. Well, that actually is gonna look good. Yep. Okay, I think we're good. We'll go inside and match that up. Make sure it's perfect. Oh yeah, that looks good. So we're gonna go with that. All right. We'll let that dry and then we'll get that varnished tomorrow and get that up on the wall. Now I'm gonna just give it a light sand and give it a second coat of varnish. Just wiping all the dust off. Next, I need to find and mark where my studs are at so I know what I've got to work with and how I'm gonna mount this. So I know that there's a stud up here because I remember building the wall, and it's right on the end there. And I just need to use my stud finder to come over just to make sure it's gonna be 16 inches over, but I'm gonna go ahead and just mark it using the stud finder right there, just in case I didn't do something right way back when. So I know I have a stud here against that post, 16 inches over to where I just marked it, and the next one's way over there, which I need to mount that faux post right here along the inner edge of that cabinet there to kind of frame this out. So there's no stud behind this. So I'm gonna have to just use some liquid nails, nail it to the drywall or glue it to the drywall, and I'm gonna throw some finish nails in there just to kind of hold it. It's just decorative. It's not supporting anything, so I think it should be okay. I also want the hood to be 30 inches above the countertop or the stove top. That's the height I'm going with. I'm tall. I want it up there. I want enough room to see under there, and that should be just fine. So measuring up from the countertop to 30 inches. So 30 inches is right there. Okay. All right, we've got my laser level. Yeah, that's gonna be nice. So much easier. So I've lined up the laser level. I want to bring it over just a little bit more because I want to be able to see that line. There we go. So right on the corner, the countertop, that way I can put this board up and just make sure it is right on that line, like so. Okay, I'll get some liquid nails on the back of it. Get that nailed up. Okay, so now we got it framed up on the two sides. Now I'll get my concrete backer board put on in between there. A little snug, but that's good. All right, I'm just using these 1 1/4 inch backer on. They're meant for the hardy backer boards, and they've got the square bit. All right, so this is the mortar that I got for the mosaic and glass tile. So this has pretty good coverage. I don't need this whole bag. My area is so small. And I'm using this pan here just to throw away, and also it's shallow. So I can mix up just like say half of this, which is still probably way too much, because I only have about 6 square feet I need to tile. Okay, so this is the river walk we're gonna use. And I think that's the direction I'm gonna put it in, just like that. And I'll have to fill in these notches with loose pieces. Each one of these, you know, fits into the other. You'll see how that works out. But I'm gonna go ahead and put all the mortar on here and then start putting these up. Here we go. Yeah, I really needed it that stiff to make sure it holds this up. That's kind of heavy. All right, so for the second run here, I'm gonna have to cut it. And so it looks like I'm gonna have to cut right through here. So I'm just cutting that mesh backing that's on here. And then I'll have to just fill in with smaller pieces of rock. All right, the mortar is set. It's been a few days. It's set solid. This tile's not going anywhere now. And the faux post we put in looks really, really good too. That is glued onto this wall solid. It's not going anywhere. So everything looks really, really good, and we're ready to grout it. So let's get that grout mixed up. You know, you want a pretty thick consistency, especially if you're doing walls, because you don't want it to be runny and run down your walls and ooze out of the joints. So this is getting nice and thick, and you can see I can pick it up and it doesn't even, yeah, it's looking really good. Okay, here we go. So we've got a rubber float here. This is what we're going to use to, you know, get the grout. And just kind of push it in. Just push it in between all the different stone tiles there. Just work it in. Once this gets set up, after about 30 minutes or so, we'll start sponging off the excess and start cleaning it all off. But you don't want to do that until it sets up. And the one thing I forgot to do, which I still need to do, is tape off the posts here, because I don't want to get any grout on these wood posts. So before I get too far, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, did it come undone?
Yeah.
It's not sticking very well. Okay. Sure. I forgot you wanted to help on this one. Okay. Kayla wants to help me grout, so this is the rubber float, and you want to just get some on there, like that. Okay, and then put it up against the edge and just fill in all the gaps. You can go different directions. You know, you want to work it in all different directions to make sure it gets in all the nooks and crannies. And we want to fill in this top area too. Just the gap on above the stones there.
Okay.
It's mainly going to be covered, but just in case, we want to get some grout up there. Maybe go down, yeah. Cool.
Whoopsie. So okay, pick it on the drill.
Yeah. That's going to be all covered with the vent hood.
Like that?
Well, yeah. You got a big gap right there.
Well,
Fill that in.
I'm getting to there. I'm getting to that.
Yep, push it in, squeeze it in. Yep. Oh, you don't want to pull it off because you just suctioned it out. And you want to do it at an angle. So, like that. So when you do it at a 45-degree angle, it's scraping at the same time and pushing into all of the gaps. It's like you're battering a cake. Get some up here on the top too.
I feel like this would be easier to use.
Well, I guess you can use that to start. You'll still need to use the rubber mallet or the rubber float to,
Why?
you know, at an angle to scrape it all off, because you're gonna have to wash all this off so the stone shows.
Yeah.
So that's fine to use that, I guess, for now.
I'm really making a mess.
Yeah, you're messy. Okay, it's starting to dry up, so we need to start scraping this off. You want to do it?
Sure.
So you want to take it like that and just, you know, hard. You can use this to scrape it off.
I can?
Oh, off of here.
Can I go down?
Yeah. You're gonna go in every direction. We'll let that set up and then we'll use a wet sponge to start cleaning it off. It'll also start to distribute some of the, you know, smooth out the grout lines a little bit. Okay, now that it's set up, it's still, you know, a little soft. It's been about 30 minutes or so, but it's set up and it's drying on the surface of the stones now. And the grout joints are still a little, you know, they're hard, but they're not fully set. So we want to start cleaning it off with a sponge and some water. Some clean water here, just using an old paint bucket. That's clean water. And just lightly wiping off just the surface on the tile there to clean off the surface of the tile and start to smooth out some of those grout joints. And this is gonna have to be done multiple times to get it all clean. So we'll do this, and then to get a majority of it off, let it dry, and then come back and do it again before too long. Okay, there's the first wash. Looks pretty good. Making sure all the stones are revealed all the way around, all the edges. Now that's going to haze over when that dries, and then we'll come back with clean water. First I got to clean that water there and clean that sponge, and then we'll come back and get it again once that haze dries on there. Fresh water, clean sponge, and look at that. Clean off that film. We're about to do this multiple times to get this nice and clean. So that completes our latest project of installing this Mosaic stone tile backsplash for our stovetop. The next video, keep an eye out for that one, is going to be building out this vent hood, and I'm going to build it out of cedar that I'm going to mill from our own woods on our brand new Wood-Mizer LX25 sawmill. So stay tuned for that one. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And until next time, keep living the dream.